Hello and welcome to Signal Shift with me, Raakhee and Sue. A very, very happy and Merry Christmas to all who are celebrating. This also is our last podcast episode of 2025, which feels unreal. Where has this year gone? But we want to wish everyone just a beautiful last few days of the holiday season and all the best going into 2026. These were the years we used to read about in the sci-fi books we read as kids, 2030, 2026. And we're living in it right now, it's insane. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different. No signals, no data, just some personal reflections to close out the year. So it's going to be a little short. We do also have a big announcement to make, but you're going to have to listen to the whole episode to get to that. Today's just about, I think, talking about some questions, that are important, I think, to reflect on at the end of each year and take stock. So I'll start off with the question, Sue. What is the biggest discovery you have made about yourself in the last year or even the last, 2-3 years while being a part of Horizon Shift Lab or HSL?
Thanks, Raakhee. It's funny. Yesterday, I saw Back to the Future 2 was streaming, and the Back to the Future was 2015. I was like, oh, that's so long ago now. So yeah, we need new dates for the future. But yeah, so I'm really reflecting on this question, and I think the first immediate responses that came to me, which I don't think are the biggest discoveries, but I'll just add them, was, working on signals every week and looking at all of these different themes and topics just made me discover that as time goes on, your interests change of what's really important to you. So for instance, I had no idea how important I thought my pets were until we started talking about all these issues and exactly how integrated they are into my life, right? So that's just a fun one to say, really, they are part of my family at this point. Another thing I didn't realize I was so just really committed to was like women's health and longevity. I think women's issues was just something that was always in the background for me, but I didn't realize until we were really working together and working on Signal Shift that I thought, oh, these are the issues that are going to define my next 20, 30 plus years. Like, I really want to be on top of this. But I think taking a step back, I was realizing, if you had asked me previously, what do I like to do? I would have told you that like solving puzzles was not on that list. There are many, many other things I like to do, but generally solving, it's kind of a fun thing. But actually, I realized it should have been one of the things that I always mention. And the truth is, like, I really love solving puzzles, from like the actual game where, the puzzles. Some people stay up all night to play video games. If you put a puzzle in front of me, I won't know what time of day it is, and I won't do anything else until it's done. And it just made me realize, like, even in my previous roles, probably what I've loved the most is helping people or helping myself solve puzzles. They could be policy puzzles, financing puzzles, strategy puzzles. And I kind of want to make it distinct from problem solving. It's not necessarily the same thing. So I was thinking, yeah, it's no surprise that I've loved the work on Signal Shift, really digging into patterns, finding connections, and really solving some puzzles of what the future may look like. So I thought that was really interesting. It wasn't the most obvious thing to me at the time, but just looking at it episode by episode, I've really discovered that about myself. And I think, just getting a lot of energy about solving these things with you, with Lana, with others, bouncing these ideas around, that just really gets me super excited. So yeah, that was probably a good discovery, maybe confirmation for me. What about you?
What a beautiful discovery, and so beautifully said. I have to mention this. There's this show, and yeah, I've loved investigative detective stuff, so I can totally relate. I love those kinds of shows. Yeah, Tintin. Do you know Tintin? The Adventures of Tintin. The books, yeah. Just love things like that. And I love baking and patisserie as well. right? And anything to do with that world. And I can't have those things now, which is so tough. But I still love watching all the shows. And it's that season, and I'm so into it. But there's a show called Crime Scene Kitchen. Have you watched that?
Oh, I've never heard of it.
Okay, so you gotta watch it. It's like it's has like 2 or 3 seasons already, and I'm sure it's gonna be back. I think it's really popular, but it's yeah, it's one of those food shows. But in this one, it's so interesting. They leave the aftermath of a kitchen, like there's clues, like what was made, and so teams of like bakers, have to go in there and they have to figure out what was possibly made, and they'll leave certain lists here, lists in the fridge, there's remnants here, stuff in the dishwasher, and they have to sniff, smell, put it all together. And it's like these two things that I love coming together. It is absolutely one of my most favorite shows. Crime Scene Kitchen, I love it. So shout out to them. But yeah, I think for me, what was the biggest discovery? I mean, of course, I've teamed up with people, but not in this kind of sense of how we have for a business, right? And I think that's been a really, really such incredible just learning, working and collaborating with others and knowing how much I enjoy that. And having kind of ideas come together. And um, I love working in the imaginative space. And I sort of knew that, but I've discovered that a lot more in the last 2, 3 years and realizing how much I love playing in that space and dreaming up scenarios and what the world could look like and these stories and playing in that realm, but playing with others, and really kind of collaboration and partnership and yeah, ideation needs other people, right? That's what makes it exciting. And so knowing that I love that so much. So I think also just, for me, the realization of work has to have meaning. There has to be meaning in your work. And I've always enjoyed my previous career, but I couldn't drive the sort of meaning I wanted in it and from it, right? Being a corporate career, it's a little harder in the sense that I enjoyed the work, but maybe not necessarily the client I was doing the work for or the project it's about. But the sort of work we do and the shifting world and that impact on every individual out there, it's very meaningful. I love that. So I think meaningful work, collaboration, partnership, ideation, playing in the imaginative realm, looking back, just an appreciation for that and the appreciation for how important it is for all of us to keep watching out for signals and an evolving world and what's coming next and being future focused in our lens. So those have been some of the things for me, Sue. The other question that I had was, what are some of the big learnings you've had about the world from the past few years? So kind of looking outward, not sort of internal, but looking at the world and all the data we've come across, and what are some of the learnings that you've actually had, and what excites you, and maybe what scares you also about kind of our collective future?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough not to speak in generalities here, and we've said it so many times, but it really is this practice, if anything, just shows you exactly how quickly the world is moving and how important a practice like this is in order to even just try to keep up. There are even, we were just talking about it, like how all of these crazy technologies and what people are dreaming up are becoming real at such a rapid pace. You don't even have a second's thought to think, like, how do I feel about this? What do I need in order to feel okay about this? So I think just having this practice gives me a little bit more time to do that, which I really appreciate. I think for me, a lot of the things that I want to continue learning about are really how technology is shaping every facet of our life and this connection we've made to our state of being, how it either diverges or converges with what we need as a human being. So those are things I want to continue to pay attention to, but I think what we've talked about this in multiple episodes. We probably should talk about it more, but the thing that scares me, of course, is just this widening divide between the haves and the have-nots. And that's kind of implied in a lot of the things we've talked about, whether it's things becoming luxury goods or people having healthier lives who can afford it, for example. So there's a way or a tendency you can have to kind of think things go to its natural conclusion where there is a world that has an even bigger K-shaped economy, right? And that divide just gets bigger and bigger. So I think in every aspect of the things that we've talked about, there is this feeling there of unease and discomfort, and what can I, this one person, do about it? And I would say, that is the thing that is hopeful in the world, that there are so many times we've done these episodes where we've brought up a story of just even one person trying to do something a little bit different. And you're starting to see that even in communities now, as people are facing food shortages and where they're going to get access to food. People are just really, stepping up to help people in problems. So I think that is always the thing that I feel like is the saving grace, that, we've heard so many stories of like attempts to rewild our neighborhoods, of living with more nature. There's solutions in so many things we've addressed of combating loneliness, even if loneliness wasn't the theme of the day. There are just constantly new financial health products that are coming out that are addressing the fact that we're living longer, we're trying to be healthier, and that what are these solutions that are going to be there for the next 20 to 30 years that we're going to need down the line. So I really love this kind of testament, if anything, to the power of human creativity and kind of endurance and perseverance. I think those are some through lines that I've really loved, regardless of what the topic is that we've addressed. So yeah, what about you?
I think you captured so much there, Sue, and yeah, definitely agreeing with all of that. And definitely I think the hope side of it is that, yeah, look, we are in a very uncertain world, but the beauty of a period of uncertainty and change is that we do get to craft it. And I think for us all not to forget that, we are empowered. And if we come together, we're even more empowered, and to shift the world to work for all of us. And so, yeah, it's definitely a scary time. It is for everyone, right? But it's also a hopeful time because we have learned some lessons, and so we can create different now. And I think of stories like the lady who opted out of the economic system, right? And she's just kind of living with somebody and just doesn't, believe in money. And I think every time we've spoken about any signal, there's always been those two sides of it, of here's what's dangerous, here's what's good, here's the benefit, here is going to be the shortcoming, here's what won't be good about it. But yeah, I think it's not just all okay, doom and gloom. That is not at all the storyline. That's not what I've learned in the last few years. I've learned that there's immense hope. There is immense concern, and there's immense hope, and incredible people, like you said, who are doing little things in little spaces. We all have this belief that, oh, what can I do? What can I contribute? But actually, we all can do a lot. That gives me a lot of hope and inspires me. What are your thoughts and feelings about 2026 and what's coming in the world? And just how do you feel? And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a good question. I was talking with a friend recently who has personally, I think, a really great practice where she kind of falls on a word or a phrase that's going to kind of define her next year, and really try to manifest that in her life. I don't know if this is going to be my word for next year, but just the word cherish kept coming to mind. Like, we're moving so quickly, forget to cherish the things that we have, or really prioritize the things in our lives that really matter.
Yeah, I think joy maybe next year, like just a lot more soaking out the joy and enjoyment out of everything. And having every opportunity to enjoy things and just have a really, really, really joyful full year next year. I think, yeah, I think that's that's what I'm going into for next year. We do have an announcement to make, as I mentioned early on. So yeah, with that, Sue, I'm going to hand it over to you to make our announcement. And yeah, share a little bit with everybody what's happening.
Yeah, thanks, Raakhee. Yeah, so before we wrap up this last episode of the year, I wanted to mention that this will actually be my final episode of Signal Shift. And just wanted to say that it has been such an amazing journey over the last year and a half or so, really exploring the signals that are shaping our world, really making sense of it with Raakhee, with our former partner Lana, and just with all of you who are watching and listening. And, a lot of the things in 2026 I will be cherishing, a lot of it has to do with my personal family life. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who has listened, been part of this growing community. I wanted to thank our guests who have really provided great insights as we chart out the future. And of course, to Raakhee, who will be carrying the show forward. And, I am just confident that Horizon Shift Labs Signal Shift is in very, very good hands. And of course, I will be an avid listener going forward. And just wanted to see, from Raakhee, excited to see where this goes next. And I was wondering if you can share a little bit with our listeners what maybe you can expect in the new year.
Firstly, thank you. Thank you for being here, your presence, your voice, which I know everybody out there must love and appreciate. And just the signals you've brought with the way you bring it and your special sauce and, just being here. It's been amazing partnering with you and with Lana. And yeah, it's always a bittersweet moment, these moments, because I'm really happy for you and what's next for you and all the new things in your life. And it's tough. It's tough saying bye to your team. So yeah, but thank you, Sue. I know everybody out there is going to miss you on the podcast. So thank you for being here and your voice and everything you brought to the podcast and HSL. In terms of going forward with HSL, I am going to continue. So that's a whole different arc of HSL for me as well. And there's a lot of planning and preparing happening for it, but a lot of exciting things happening. Next year is going to be the first year where we have our first offering out in the market. I'm very excited about that. Yeah, we've actually been working on it for a long time, and now it's really taking feet and yeah, kind of building up. So lots more to share in the coming year, and it's something that's really built for people and to help you for everything that's coming, right? So I'm excited to share more about that and what that's going to look like. So you'll hear more about that. But just yeah, keep a watch out, okay? Our first sort of offering coming, and it's really going to be awesome. In terms of the podcast itself, we will continue. I will continue. It's probably going to be guest driven. This past year, we did themes, right? And we focused on health for 1 month, and we focused on finance and education. And I think what's coming next with our guests, we'll have some sort of grounding theme, angle, perspective, something like that. And that is being figured out as we speak. But that's what'll come, next, and with guests, and really try to get interesting guests, as we've had so many incredible ones this year already and learned so much from them. We just wanted to share this message, close out the year. I want to just wish everyone all the very best again. Just like Sue said, cherish these last few days as well, and have an amazing closeout to this year, and just a beautiful, fresh, amazing start to the next year. Thank you for supporting us, for listening, for watching, subscribing. We've had such an incredible year, and we've had so much support. So we're so grateful. Thank you so much for being there and continuing this journey with us into next year as well. Thank you so much, and we will catch you on our next episode. Bye for now.